Welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. You're here with myself, BT. I've got Josh on the line, but he's not hosting this one. He's audio only, so you're just going to be staring at my
Taking a
face.
back seat. I'm taking a back seat, BT. I'm audio only, mate. How we doing? How we feeling?
Far out. Well, we're here to talk about all the trades that have happened for the AFL season for the next season coming up, and far out. This is, in my opinion, and I think in everyone's opinion, this has got to be the biggest year for trades.
Hectic. Absolutely hectic, mate. I think we had big names moving clubs. We had picks flying everywhere. We had the super trade. It looked like it was going to be a 6-teamer. It ended up being a 4-teamer, but well, that's okay. How are we doing this today, BT? I think we're going to talk about every single team and review how they went.
Yeah. So we'll go alphabetical order, and we'll kind of brush over some of the irrelevant type trades. Obviously the big name and everything. We'll give our opinions on them, see where we both stand. None of us at Stat Sports have really spoken about these trades, so we don't know each other's opinions. So be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's going to be very good. Alphabetical order. Let's kick it off, BT.
All right. So obviously Adelaide. So they end up getting their man Isaac Rankin. They got pick 46 and a future 4th round, but they end up giving away pick 5, a future 3rd, and a future 4th.
Yeah, so no one cares about the steak knives in this deal. Let's be honest.
No.
I hate all this future pick trading, all this.
Yeah.
I know why they do it. But let's be honest. Isaac Rankin for pick 5, that's the deal.
Yeah.
And like you said, this was their guy. This was the guy they wanted from a long way out. He was pick 3 for the Suns a few years ago. They paid pick 5 for him, so it's about full tote odds. But yeah, that's what they had to pay, and they paid it. And I think they're going to be happy with this guy because he's going to be there for the next 10 years, BT.
Yeah, for sure. He's obviously a quality player. In my opinion, he's got that star quality about him where he could easily be. He's got that persona where he's like an all-Australian type in the future. He could easily be. He could come out and kick your high 40s, 50+ goals in a season. I can see that happening within the next few to 5 years or so. So
yeah, and perfect age demographic for where Adelaide's at as well. So good pickup. Giving away Billy Frampton, who was excess to their needs as well, future 3rd pick. So that's just a packet of peanuts. But realistically, it was Rankin or bust for the Crows, and they got their man. They weren't in the Horne-Francis sweepstakes because of that.
Yeah.
And that's probably the question, if you're an Adelaide supporter, you've got to ask yourself is, are we happier giving away just the 1 first-round pick this year for Rankin, or doubling down, getting involved in Horne-Francis, throwing away multiple picks? Time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. So outside of that, that's nothing else that's happened at Adelaide, really. So we'll move on to Brisbane. We'll touch on the Dan McStay move when we get to Collingwood. So they got obviously compensation on pick 35, but we'll talk more about actual McStay at Collingwood. Tommy Berry's gone. Obviously not huge because he's a bit of a young, but Jack Gunston.
Good pick though. Like they got, I think, the equivalent of pick 25 for Tom Berry.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good value for him. I thought the Suns overpaid a bit there. So
yeah, I agree.
If you're Brisbane, I think you're pretty stoked with that deal.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, definitely. And he wasn't playing in the team anyway. He was pick 25. That's definitely worked in Brisbane's favour. But Jack Gunston, that's an interesting one for them, in my opinion.
Handy pickup on the cheap, particularly with McStay going out. I think that's a really good pickup as the 3rd forward there for the Lions.
Because you would say he's got max 2 years left. You would say. I don't know what his exact deal is at Brisbane, but let's say 2 years. They're obviously pushing for a premiership now. Yeah, it is the right move for him.
Yeah, I think it was a no-brainer. It's a very astute pickup from the Lions, but we've got to talk about the big deal, and that's the Dunkley deal that just got done in the dying minutes of trade period. What are we talking here? They've effectively given up their 1st-round pick next year early second this year, and a future second next year, and the rest of it is all steak knives. So realistically, it's a first, an early second, and a late second for Josh Dunkley. Your thoughts on the value there?
Well, I'm a huge Dunkley fan. I think he's a quality player.
Agreed.
I think it's. I don't know his exact age, but I'm pretty sure he's still reasonably
27,
young.
28.
Yeah, there we
right
go.
Coming into his prime.
Again, this is perfect for Brisbane, being that top 4, top 2 type team. Exactly what they need. Him and Lachie Neale in that middle now, this absolute beast. And they've clearly paid a lot for him, but it could easily get them that premiership.
Yeah, like you said, they're in win now mode. That being said, they've got some really good draft picks that have been coming in this year. Will Ashcroft is going to be the number 1 pick. Fletcher as well. He's another midfielder they're going to be bidding on as a father-son. So the next generation is coming through. Ashcroft's going to hit the ground running day 1. Lachie Neale's still in there. Josh Dunkley comes in. This is a very good midfield, BT.
Oh, very good. And if their forward line can stay fit, they're going to be very hard to beat next season and even in the future.
The only knock I would say didn't address the back line, didn't address the defence, which has been their problem all year. So potentially it's not potentially, it is. It's still an issue for the Lions, but you got to be carried. You got to get carried away with the big pickups, BT, and they have made some big pickups this trade period.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Dunkley and Gunson, 2 quality players, definitely what they need. All right, we'll move on to Carlton. So this is the one that I like a lot. Blake Acres. I reckon that is a huge pickup for them because they're a contested team, very good, obviously, with the players they have in there. And to get this outside player, I reckon this is quality. I reckon he's one of the most underrated players in the comp. First half of the season last year, he was All-Australian wingman.
You had him on your team.
Yeah. And a future 3rd round. That's what they gave away for him. It's an absolute steal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this deal. Like you said, exactly what they need. So that's a really good pickup because they really lacked in the wing department. Other deals, they got a 3rd round pick for Liam Jones, hasn't played for him for a year, so that's just a bonus if you're a Carlton supporter. And Will Setterfield, who was on the fringe, he gets let go for basically nothing to Essendon, so effectively a delisting there. So it's tidy from Carlton. It's tidy. It's identifying the needs, it's picking up the guys you want, and they still have a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft.
Yeah, exactly. And the way they played last season, it wasn't the players that I don't feel like their list management or anything that didn't make them finals are purely just inexperience and big time games. So someone like an Acres is definitely going to help them there for sure.
Carlton top 4, 2023.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I think that is a nice chance of happening.
All right, let's move on to Collingwood. This bloody team. All right. These
Why don't you like him, BT? What's the problem?
Go on, they get up me, so I can't. These guys in the comments. I'm going to clip back this title as well for this video, so we get them in.
Oh no!
All right, fair few trades for Collingwood, and before we start, I'll give them. I reckon they're good trades for them. I think they've done well. So Bobby Hill,
they're attacking.
Bobby Hill for him. Yeah, exactly. Bobby Hill and pick 40 for a future second. So Bobby Hill for a future second, essentially. So he definitely got the potential.
He does have a lot of potential, but we aren't the biggest fans of Bobby Hill. Here at Chat Sports are. We've got nothing against the man, but I don't think he's delivered yet, and I'm not sure that I'm not sure he gets a game in this Collingwood team next year. I've got to be honest.
I don't know who he kicks out of that forward line. That's the thing. It gives him depth, I guess, but I think he's a little bit overhyped. I think they may have overpaid a little bit for a second round, giving up a second round selection. But time will tell. Dan McStay.
Yes.
Free agent. Thoughts, Josh? Thoughts on him?
They needed an extra key forward to get down there and give them a target. Now, a bit of slim pickings on the market this year. Roy Lobb, obviously, we'll touch on a bit later. He was probably the best key forward out there, and even then, the Lobster is not an absolute stud. So you look at McStay, serves the ball. I think they paid him too much money, but that's the world we live in at the moment. But he's a free agent. Didn't have to give up any draft capital for him. So I don't mind the move. I think he'll be down there. Mychek will be down there, and I think that's a decent forward tandem, as good as they were going to be able to do in this trade period.
Well, let's add in Billy Frampton now as well. Let's touch on him. Gave away a future third for him from Adelaide.
Yep.
I like him. I think he's pretty equivalent to McStay. I think they're practically the same height type player. So you'd assume one of them will be playing second ruck to Cameron. So
yeah, Cameron's the number one. It depends. Yeah, I don't. So you think Frampton is going to be in the round one team? Because I'm not sold. It depends on the dynamic of the lineup.
Exactly. So it's because Mason Cox had a reasonable season last year. He wasn't too bad. You can't play Cox, McStay, Frampton, and Mychek. That is just, you can't. It's way too tall. So it's
agreed.
Clearly one of them is going to miss out. Mychek's in. Dan McStay's in, you would assume. So it's Frampton or Cox. And this is, in my opinion, this comes down to a preseason thing. It's who tears it up on the park. So
yeah, and I think Cox has the runs on the board at the moment. So Frampton's a nice depth signing, I think, and a good potential signing, and they paid nothing for him. So good handy pickup.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What about the former Brownlow medalist, Tom Mitchell? How do we see this one happening, mate? How do we reckon?
So there's a bit going on here. So the deal was effectively they get in Tom Mitchell and they get in pick 25 and they give away Ollie Henry. So it looks like Ollie Henry wanted to leave for opportunity. Didn't seem like they were able to hold on to him. So effectively, this is Ollie Henry for pick 25 and Tom Mitchell for pick 41 and 50. So 2 late picks.
Yeah.
It's not a bad bit of business, BT.
I think
they were lacking a bit in their midfield department, particularly when Taylor Adams went out late in the year. But now you've got this core, Mitchell, Adams, DeGoey. That's a really good starting 3. And then you've still got Dacos, who might move into the midfield. Pendles didn't spend much time through there. I think he's pretty settled on the halfback. So you've got pieces. You've got pieces that can run through there, but it's a really solid 3.
Oh, for sure. The problem, Mitchell obviously rack up the ball, and that's a quality midfield on paper. The problem I have with it, all 3 of those guys that you just named, none of them are really good disposals with the ball. So they know how to find the ball. To go as a game winner. Adams is a contested beast. Mitchell he's just a ball magnet. But none of them, I don't think, can we got Crisp. So Crisp is the one. He's the one who can break the lines and hit the forwards up, where those other 3 aren't as damaging as like a Crisp, is what I'm trying to say.
Think even, I know you're saying that Togoe doesn't use the ball well, but you've alluded to it. He's damaging. He's an offensive weapon. You want him getting the ball on the outside and streaming forward with it.
Yes, for sure.
I think it's a good pickup. It's a good mix. I forgot about Crisp earlier, so apologies for that. But that's a really good core midfield. The problem is that they've effectively had to give away Brodie Grundy for nothing.
Yeah,
or for certainly unders. To make it happen, to give himself the salary cap space to do it. Your thoughts on the Grundy trade?
Well, we spoke about this early on when he went down and Cameron started playing very well. And I remember we briefly touched on it in one of the podcasts throughout the season, and we just said that you trade him. Clearly they were playing better with Cameron as the ruckman. So I don't know. Obviously, they're still paying part of his salary as well, so they still and
Not
they're
a
going
significant amount though.
not
I
a
think they're
huge
paying
amount.
they're paying about 600 grand of his
Yeah.
salary over the next 4 years.
Mm.
So that's not a big hit, and that's why they haven't got as much compensation as you would expect.
Yeah. Pick 27. Yeah, I just don't think he was going to fit in that team. So to get a pick 27, I to be honest, I think it's fairly even. I think both teams won there.
Yeah, I think it's a good result for Collingwood. We'll touch on what it does for Melbourne, but yeah, obviously a little bit under what you would have expected, but for what it's opened up for Collingwood, they're a better side having left this trade period than they were going into it, which you've got to be happy with as a Collingwood fan.
Oh, I completely agree. And as a Collingwood hater, yeah, I wasn't happy about it.
Get on board, BT. The pies are up and about. The flag pies are up and about.
All right, let's move on to the Bombers. Will Setterfield.
Didn't do much time here, mate. Not much time needed to spend on the Bombers. This is a bit of a fizzer here.
Will Setterfield, just a spot filler, really, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to...
speculative pickup.
Yeah. Sam Wiedemann. He's obviously had that potential coming through the draft, but he hasn't shown too much at Melbourne. So it'll be interesting to see.
Haven't paid too much for him, to be honest.
No, exactly.
It's not a bad bit of business. You're getting in a guy that could be your second tall forward next to 2 meter Peter. So don't mind the pickup, but it's a depth pickup at best.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a speculative pickup at best.
Yeah. So outside of that, nothing really happened at Essendon.
Aaron Francis as well. So
yeah, that's about it. But they've got more problems off field to worry about than
huge
actual
problems.
players. So all right, let's just go. We'll go straight to Fremantle here. They've done a fair bit. Yeah. All right, so obviously gave away Blake H, who's got the future third. We touched on that earlier. So giving away Griffin Logue, Darcy Tucker. So essentially, we're saying a second round. They got a second round. They got a third round and a fourth round for Logan Tucker.
And they gave back a third. So effectively, it's an early second and a fourth, which is nothing. So, look, they've given away a lot of players this off season to try and get in Luke Jackson.
Yes.
And let's just talk about it, right? Because this is effectively what the this is what the off season was for Fremantle, right?
Yeah.
Get in Luke Jackson.
Yeah.
They got him in. They got their man. They've given away 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. They've also given away Blake Acres, Griffin Logue, Darcy Tucker, Rory Lobb, and Lloyd Meek. 5 players they've given away to effectively make the salary cap situation work. Well, that's realistically why most of those players have left, because they weren't going to be getting the money that they wanted because Luke Jackson's come in.
Exactly. So, like you said, Logue, Tucker, Lobb, Meek for Jackson and O'Meara. They got O'Meara in as well, so
which is handy. I'll pay them that. That's a nice little pickup, I reckon.
Yep, I like that as well. So huge risk for reward, really. Jackson has that potential, but still obviously young, and to give up a lot of picks. Yeah, it's a risky one, but I don't know. I personally don't like giving up these big picks, but because he's a WA boy and he nominated Fremantle, they got him. Yeah, it's a tough one to judge. What's your thoughts?
Here's my position on Fremantle. And for anyone watched our end of season wrap up, I floated Fremantle as a real potential, well, not potential, top 4 team in the potential grand finals next year. I've moved away from that. I think that bringing in Luke Jackson has pushed Fremantle's premiership window out by 2 to 3 years. If they didn't bring in Jackson this year, they are a premiership contender next season. But with all the players that they've lost, Lobb, Griffin Logue, Darcy Tucker's a bit on the fringe, but Blake Acres, they're guys that are in your best 22. They're going to have to replace them. They're going to have to bring in younger guys and get them up to speed. They've pushed their window out. And I'm not sold on whether that's the right thing to do, to be honest with you.
I think I'm with you on that. I think they didn't need to make many changes at all. I think it was more of an experience situation, more coming into finals. They've played their final. They've had that big win against Bulldogs in the first week. That would have just helped them. And I think if they just stuck to the similar list, obviously a few trades here and there, but to give up this much, it changes that. It changes a lot. So
yeah, it's not even the picks. It's not even the picks that I'm fussed about. It's the depth and it's the players. That's my issue.
They need Jackson to fire early, and he's still so young. And we know these big guys take a while. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think they've gone down a little bit here.
So in the short term, in the long term,
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, in the long term, you're projecting Jackson to be an absolute superstar, and certainly don't have any qualms with bringing the guy in. But yeah, it's what they've given up in the short term. So I'd be interested to get Fremantle supporters' opinions in the comments of this video on what their thoughts are of the moves and where they see the club is at after making them.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll move on to Geelong. Tanner Bruin for pick 18.
Good pickup. Fits their age profile that they need beautifully.
Really? I think that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's worth an 18, in my opinion.
Well, who are they picking up at pick 18 in the draft this year? And are they going to help them win the flag in the next 2 years? I don't think so.
Yeah. What do you know his age? Do you know his age?
He's 24.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He might even be less than that. In fact, I think he is less than that. I think he's like 21, 22.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you might be right there.
So
yeah,
I'm stoked with that. I'm stoked with that if I'm a Geelong
fan. Yeah, yep.
And then let's talk about the big one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it is the big one. The Jack Bowes salary cap dump.
Yeah.
I still can't get my head around what the Gold Coast Suns are doing.
I don't understand this trade at all.
I feel like the Suns have been fleeced in every trade they've ever done. Like they just operate differently up there. I know they're all about stockpiling picks and having enough draft capital for their academy, but like, what's going on here?
I reckon, my conspiracy theory, the AFL told them, fellas, we don't need you in the comp anymore. We're making a Tassie team. And they've just gone, fuck it. Let's just screw this whole shit up.
Yeah, look, it could happen, but it's just
they've
done some bizarre stuff, but that's very bizarre.
Yeah, Andrew I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. That's just, when I saw that, I was like, surely that's a typo, but clearly not.
I mean, even when they were floating around pick 7, I thought they were going to be at least getting like maybe a late first back or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, they could have said, we'll trade Jack Bowes in our second round pick, and people still would have gone for that.
Oh, definitely.
I don't understand.
Pick 7. Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all.
But the Cats have said that Bowes, they think, will be in their best 22 next year. Yeah. So not only have they picked up a best 22 player, they've picked up a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
They've picked up Tanner Bruin. And then on the last day of the trade period, they pick up another young talent, Ollie Henry, who, again, fits their age profile. And this is what I love about what the Cats do when it comes to trade period, is they're not as fussed on picks, but they are keen on getting players in. They've had a couple of years of development, and you've actually seen them in the AFL system. You actually know, or you can project a bit better about how they're going to perform. They're happy to spend their picks on those guys and develop them up and bring them through. It's perfect work from the Cats here, and it's a perfect trade period if you're a Cats fan.
Oh, for sure. Ollie Henry, watching the few games he did play last season, I think there was a couple of games where he kicked a bag as well. So definitely a quality player. Cooper Stevens, obviously there was a lot of talk around him. he was going to be a quality player and to give away pick 25. But I think Ollie Henry, with Tom Hawkins coming to the end, I think that's actually a very good pickup for them.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
we'll
great work from the Cats. They're
Yeah.
my winner of the trade period. I think it's slightly ahead of a team we'll get to shortly.
All right. We'll go through Gold Coast. Ben Long for pick 32. Yeah.
Paid overs
Yeah.
for him, but I understand what they're trying to do is get some pace off halfback. So for the Suns, if they can get players in that want to go to their club, they generally have to pay overs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they get a guy that has potential to develop into a good halfback flanker. He's just not there yet.
Completely agree. He definitely has the potential to be some sort of player. So we'll see how that goes. Tom Berry from Brisbane. Tom Berry and pick 46. So essentially, this was what Tommy Berry pick 46 for 36 and 56.
Oh, the 25. I think the 25 is the main one there. I think there's some future picks, but it's yeah. I still think it's slightly overs for Tommy Berry, but again,
completely agree.
The Suns are getting in a player that should hopefully slot straight into their best 22, and help them try and make the finals this year.
Then future fourth for Josh Corbett, probably equal.
Just giving him away.
Yeah,
just giving away. Nothing to see here.
And then obviously we touched on the Jack Bowes trade in the Geelong part. So nothing's really changed at the Gold Coast too much. I don't think it'll be interesting to see how they play. To be honest, I don't know how next season's going to go for them.
Yeah, look, I liked the Suns this year, and I had them as a smoky finals pick for probably the middle half of the year. Hard to see if that's going to happen this year. You'd think the natural development will help them continue to rise up the ladder, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've lost Rankin as well, obviously, so it's not the best trade period from a Gold Coast Suns point of view.
No, completely agree. My opinion, I think if anything, that would be going down and not up. So, GWS. This is just purely picks, essentially. Gave away players and got picks in. Develop these picks and trade them players out. That's how GWS work. So,
well, they're blowing it up, I think.
Yeah.
This is a bottom 4 team next year. You can lock that in right now.
Completely agree. So, obviously the Bobby Hill one, we've touched on that. Got pick 12 and 19 for Timmy Taranto. Obviously, high picks. Got pick 15.
I mean, Taranto was a pick 2. He probably could have got a bit more because I think he is a budding superstar. But it is 2 first-round picks, and I don't think they were going to get much more out of Richmond. So, yeah, you take it. You take it.
Pick 15, they gave away pick 21 and a future second. So
not sure on the numbers there and how that equates out, but
they're clearly something they see.
They were trying to move up the order. That was what they wanted to do, the Giants.
Pick 18 for Tanner Bruin, touched on that. They got Tony Bedford from Melbourne for pick 44. That's
effectively they've traded Toby Bedford for Bobby Hill. So
Yep, exactly.
Similar players, similar roles. Be interested to see how their careers pan out.
All right. So they've got pick 1, 53, and 57. But they gave away pick 3, pick 12, and Collingwood's future second, essentially. So
that's a lot.
Yeah. There's just picks everywhere for GWS here.
Yeah. The big thing with this trade, so there's been a lot of chatter at the moment about particularly the top end of this draft not being particularly keen to relocate. So I think this has had a major impact on how GWS has tried to go about their draft process. I've heard that they're keen on the key forward Cadman, and by all accounts he'd be ready to move and he'd slot straight into that lineup. So I think that the Giants have gone, well, we need to make sure we get this guy, and we can't afford to let any of the other teams jump ahead and get him, because if they're left to pick 2 or pick 3, which is what they had, and they end up picking up the best player available, happens to be a midfielder who wants to go back to Melbourne.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at what has happened to Tim Taranto. They picked him
Yeah.
at pick 2. They've just lost him 4 or 5 years later for 2 picks in the teens. So it's a tough situation for the Giants.
Yeah. Yep. I can exactly see what you mean. So be interesting to see how they go. It's just it happens all the time at GWS. They get these
Look
quality
at Hopper.
players. Yeah, exactly.
Look at Hopper as well. He goes for a future first and pick 31.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unders for Hopper. Yeah, he's a former. I think he was a pick 2 as well. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah, I'm with you. They're bottom 4. I think you can lock that in right now. Bottom 14. All right, let's move on to Hawthorn. Carl Amon, unrestricted free agent. I like the pickup.
Yeah, they paid a salary for him. Obviously, get him for free.
Mm-hmm.
He had a pretty good year with Port Adelaide. Tazza not on the call with us tonight, but he would attest to that. I think he would have finished in their top 5 BNF, but I can't say I followed that with much interest. But a good pickup, a good outside ball user, and he should help Hawthorn straight away.
Yep, perfect. Yep, suits them exactly what they needed. We touched on the Jack Gunston and the picks they got for him. They got in Lloyd Meek from Fremantle. Not a bad pickup. Yep. He just won
boy, obviously gone. So
yep. He won the Peel Best and Fairest. He had a solid year in the 2s in the waffle. So yep, I like him. He's a good quality ruckman in my opinion. And then Cooper Stevens for the Tom Mitchell trade, which for all accounts, he's going to be a good player from what I've heard. Haven't seen too much of him play, but there's big hype around Cooper Stevens.
You can see what the Hawks are trying to do. So they've traded away O'Meara, they've traded away Mitchell. They're trying to trade away their older players that Clarko brought in near the end because he wanted to top up. He thought they could go again, and it just didn't work out. So he's starting the slate clean. He is going back to basics. This is rebuild 101. This is another team which I think is certainly bottom 4 territory next year.
Yep, completely agree. However, I think 4 years or so, they're pushing top 6 type team. I think they've got a quality list, young list there.
Yeah, and they're building.
Yep. And I like the coaching stuff. All right.
Yep.
Let's move on. Yes. We'll move on to Melbourne. A lot happened here. A lot happened at
My
Melbourne.
second best team of the trade period, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Where do we start? 3rd round conversation with Jaden Hunt, irrelevant type thing. They got pick 27, picked 44, but all right, let's just go straight. Brodie Grundy for pick 27.
Very good bit of business. If you look at effectively what they've done is they've traded Brodie Grundy for Brodie Grundy in, Luke Jackson out. But with that, they've also got in effectively 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
So they've gained Brodie Grundy, 2 first-round picks, and given away Luke Jackson. For Melbourne, I think you take that every day of the week, knowing that Luke Jackson was going to go, not being able to do anything about it. You've brought in a ruckman that's going to be able to perform better than Luke Jackson is right now and help you contend this year. And you get 2 first-round picks
from it. Exactly.
What's not to like?
Yeah, I reckon they've definitely won that trade as for now. Yeah, for sure. I think Grundy will play majority ruck. Obviously, Gawn will be in there because he's obviously quality ruckman himself. But I think Gawn's going to be playing a lot more forward now, and he can play forward. We've seen that before. So,
and this was the issue with Melbourne last year was the forward line.
Yes.
So they've effectively targeted Gawn and Grundy and said we're going to be using you guys forward. Gawn needs to fix up his goal kicking a bit, but I like the move. I like the strategy. Couple of other depth moves as well. So effectively, Wiedemann out. Josh Shackey comes in. There's a bit of the roll the dice on some key forward depth. But this one here on the last day, Lockie Hunter for a future 3rd, just incredible move here. That's going to help Melbourne straight away. Ed Langdon on one wing, Lockie Hunter on the other. Outstanding.
And then you've got James Jordan there, who's he's going to be pushing for his spot now. This is very good moves from Melbourne, and they're definitely going to be right up there again. This is quality stuff, I reckon, from them.
Yeah, no, they have certainly done their chances next year. No harm at all. Very nice trade period from Melbourne. And like I said, I have them a slight second behind the Cats.
Yeah. Yep. I think I agree with you on that one. All right, Josh. I think you can take over from this one. We're on to the North Melbourne.
North. Shout out to the North Melbourne supporters that watch the channel. There is a number of them, and we do love them. And let's give North Melbourne a bit of time here. So they've got some ins.
Mm-hmm.
Griffin Logue, Darcy Tucker, effectively gave away a second and a fourth. So very handy. They are paying Griffin Logue a bit of money, but he's a good player. He's going to be there for the long term. He's going to help them out. The big one, Jason Horne-Francis. So this sort of just came out of nowhere in the early part of trade week that he wanted out and he's gone. Now, they were dealt a bit of a shit situation here with the fact that they brought him in with pick 1 last year. He turns around, he says, I want to go. So I think they've done the best they can with the hand they were dealt by effectively giving away Horne-Francis last year's pick 1. They've given away this year's pick 1, but they've got back pick 2, pick 3, and a future first and some steak knives. So they've turned Horne-Francis and their number 1 pick into 2 picks in the top 3 and a future first. So I don't mind what they've done.
No, don't mind at all. I don't see them moving too much on the table at all from bottom. Still bottom 4 team, in my opinion.
Particularly with the coaching situation in doubt as well.
Exactly. We'll touch on the Horne-Francis move a bit more when we talk about Port Adelaide. So, yeah, I don't think it looks a lot for North Melbourne, but I don't think it's huge difference, really, to be honest with you. We'll move to Port Adelaide now, where a few big moves here for Port. Interesting moves, in my opinion. Obviously, they gain. There's no point talking about this other shit they've done. Horne-Francis, Junior Rioli is essentially what they've gained. A couple of picks and whatnot.
The super trade.
Yes, it was part of the super trade. What's your thoughts on these two players?
Okay, so Port Adelaide have mortgaged the farm. They have traded all of their picks this year and basically all of their picks next year for Horne-Francis and Junior Rioli.
Yeah.
Now, preface this. I'm a West Coast Eagles supporter. Okay, so there may be some element of bias in this. I think that the 4-year deal they've offered Rioli, I will be surprised if Rioli is there after 2 years.
Oh, interesting.
I am not sure that the money they're paying him and the length of the contract is a wise decision, but they're trying to get players in, and in this market, you pay people more than you need to.
Yeah.
Horne-Francis, they've given him a 6-year deal. You can understand that. The kid's 19. You're hoping that he's going to be there and he's going to be a big part of your future. Rioli, not sure about the contract length. Horne-Francis, obviously he's nominated Port Adelaide. They had to move heaven and earth to get him in, and they've done that. I feel like they've given up a lot. They've given up a lot. And again, I'm not sure if Port Adelaide knows where they're at. I mean, where do you think Port Adelaide's at? Is Port Adelaide legitimately contending next year? Because their moves this year suggest that they think they're going to be.
But does it? Bringing in a 19-year-old, that's not going to push them towards a premiership, I don't think.
Yeah, but if you look at the other moves, that not just the Rioli move, but the other moves they were linked to pretty much everybody under the sun. They were going hard at players everywhere. They were talking about getting Cozzy Pickett early in the trade period. That obviously didn't happen. Their name was being thrown around as getting anybody, which makes me think that Ken is desperate. Ken knows it's his last chance, and that it was top 4 or bust this coming year for Port Adelaide. So, and I don't think that they are a top 4 team next year. So I can't see how they've improved their list enough to get themselves to be a top 4 team next year, which is what Ken's trying to do to make sure he saves his job.
I don't even think they're close. I think they're a finals fringe team, one of those type of teams. So, yeah, as we know from Eagle supporters, give up a lot of picks for one player certainly can go the wrong way for you. So, obviously, it can
But
be
if you're going to give up for a player, you want to pick up a player that is young
yes.
and has the sort of potential that Horn Francis does.
They're betting on potential, and they gave up a lot for potential. That's the issue I have there, and yeah, only time will tell, obviously, but I don't see them moving too far. We know they started off pretty terrible last season, but they came good towards the end. If they started off a little bit better, they would have been pushing finals. But yeah, I think they're that 7th to 10th type team. That's where I see them.
Yeah, didn't get Radaglia either, but
No.
I don't think that is a huge
No.
loss for Adelaide. I think they were looking at pick 33 or somewhere around that range.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's overs for a guy like Asava, but it didn't happen. So let's move on.
Yep. All right, Richmond. Timmy Taranto in, Hopper in. 2 quality,
Great.
2 pickups. Oh, this is exactly what Richmond need. With Pressia being injury prone, with Cochin coming to the end, with Dusty obviously coming to the end, this is perfect for Richmond.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. 2 guys that are entering in their prime are going to be in that midfield for the next 5 to 10 years. Love the work here from Richmond. I'll have them as my 3rd place team at the end of the trade period because, what more can you say? They've given up obviously 2 first-round picks this year and a first-round pick next year to bring these guys in, but I think that's a sound investment.
I completely agree. These 2 guys are quality players and they're young enough, so you can understand why they'll give up that much. They're my premiers for next season.
Yeah, I think on the back of this, Richmond top 4 is certainly something you want to be looking at because they've only boosted their team, and they had a down year this year, but I think they're a good chance to bounce back.
Yep, completely agree. All right, St Kilda, James Zane Cordy as a unrestricted free agent. Not a bad pickup. Again, they've done nothing to their list. Still a shit list. Not going to do anything to them. They're going to be terrible, miss finals, and it's going to be the same old year for St Kilda.
Yeah, if you wanted to see St Kilda doing anything, I think you wanted to see them blowing it up and acknowledging where they're at. So they didn't get to Goey, which is maybe a blessing in disguise for them because it just resigns them to the fact that they need to rebuild this list. So, I think we've seen with St Kilda what they need to do for a while now. All we can hope now is that St Kilda acknowledges it themselves.
Yep, completely agree. We all know where I stand on St Kilda, so I don't think I need to say anymore. All right, Sydney, Aaron Francis, and pick 42 for. So Aaron Francis for pick 37.
Aaron Francis for nothing, basically. Yep. It's a depth pickup for the Swans. He may play, he may not play. It gives them a bit of extra depth down back. So yeah,
or up forward.
Yeah.
Or up forward. He did play up forward. What was it, maybe 3 seasons ago or so? He was a permanent forward. So
the interesting thing with this. Sorry, you go, mate.
Yeah, that to me he's just a swing man. I reckon if one of the McCartan brothers go down, he could come in and fill that. If they have a few injuries up forward, he could come in and do that.
Yeah, low risk, low reward, low risk, high reward type of pickup. So don't mind that. Was surprised that Logan McDonald's name wasn't being floated around as a potential pickup for Fremantle or even the Eagles as a West Australian. Just with him being left out of the grand final team, I feel like he hasn't really delivered as much on his potential as he probably would have liked.
Yeah.
And I thought that might have been a move that potentially might have been on the cards, but no action on that front.
No, nothing there at all. All right, move on to the Eagles. Again, Jaden Hunt as a free agent. What do you think of that?
Handy for free. Handy for free. And the Eagles have identified that they need pace.
Yep.
They need pace. Jaden Hunt has it in spades. They were looking as well at Quinton Narkle, who got delisted from Geelong, so he could still come in as a free agent. But they need pace. and they certainly get that with Jaden Hunt, who could play on a wing or off halfback.
Yeah. Yep. Completely agree. So not bad for nothing. So, all right, these picks. Now, this is interesting, Josh. This is where I want to hear your opinion. They gain pick 8 and pick 12 and Port's future second and future third. Obviously, give away Rioli, but gives away pick 12, pick 2 and pick 40. Interesting.
Yeah. So first off, they weren't going to use pick 40 after this trade anyway, because they now have 4 picks inside the first 25 or 30. So
yep. Okay.
That's not a big deal. So they've given away Rioli, probably got maybe unders for that, but they knew he was leaving anyway, and they were resigned to him leaving. So they took what they could get. So really, the crux of this is pick 2 for pick 8 and pick 12. And then you've obviously got the future picks as well, which certainly helps. I was a big fan of the Eagles splitting their picks, because with where the Eagles are at now, they have only Oscar Allen under the age of 25 that is a proven young player with potential. Everybody else are either spuds or they were picked up last year and we still don't really have a read on them.
Yeah.
So the Eagles need young talent, and they need top end young talent, and they need as much of it as they can get. And pick 2 would have brought them in one guy that could be a game changer, could be a franchise changer. Pick 8 and pick 12, you would hope, are going to bring them in 2 players that are 200 game players for the West Coast Eagles. So I think that is the right move. Could they have got a bit more out of it? Potentially, but that was the cards that were on the table. They took that. I like the idea of splitting the picks if I'm an Eagles fan, particularly if they're skeptical about players that don't necessarily want to relocate interstate.
Yeah, completely agree. I think I was a bit skeptical on it at the start, but then I heard the selection panel from Eagles say that they don't think there's a huge gap in the top 15 picks or so. So it was better to have 2 picks there than just have the 1. So, yep, I don't mind it at all.
And they keep their future first round pick, which we think is going to be low. So we think that's probably going to be a top 5, top 3 pick next year. So they need that. Yeah. So I think it's a good bit of business from the Eagles, but time will tell on draft night and in the years to come whether it was the right decision to make. And I think as Eagles fans, we're going to be talking about this one for a very long time.
Yeah, completely agree. So, yep, be interesting. I like the way they're going. I think it's time to get these young players in now. All right, on to the last team, Western Bulldogs. They gained Liam Jones back as a free agent. I don't mind it. Hopefully he can come back.
It's exactly what they need. They lacked the depth in the key defender department, so get him for free. Very nice.
Obviously, we touched on the Lockie Hunter move, lost him, but he wasn't even making that squad in the end, really. So he was kind of a fringe player. So that's for a future third. It's a steal for Melbourne.
For nothing though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Nothing.
Yeah. Obviously, they've gained a few picks here for giving away Dunkley, but this big one, an interesting move, Rory Lobb. Rory Lobb at the Bulldogs. How's that going to go, Josh?
I still can't understand the move.
Nor can I.
So this one was floated for a while, in the latter stage of the season, that Lobb wanted to go to the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs have Aaron Norton. He's a potential Coleman medal winner. They've got Josh Bruce. He's a quality forward, coming back from the knee injury, obviously, but he is a quality number 2. They've got Ugal Hagen. He looked really good when he was the third forward. He kicked 5 goals and won in the game against Melbourne late in the year. They've got young Darcy. He could play back. He could play forward, but he's a 200-plus centimetre giant. I think you want to be playing in the forward line. They've already got 4 guys down there that are key forwards that are good enough at the moment to be in the best 22. Now you bring in Rory Lobb as well. What are we doing, doggies? You need a backman. What's going on?
So what I just don't understand what they're going to do. Obviously, Norton's playing. You would assume Bruce is playing. And then you have to play Lobb now. So you got those 3. And then, so they're just not going to give these young guys games. I don't understand.
Unless they're playing Darcy down back and potentially they're playing Bruce down back. But I don't know. It's a really puzzling recruiting choice for me personally, as a watching the Bulldogs.
Yeah, interesting move, and this will. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know how it's going to play out, but they've obviously got the list there. They've got the players there to make it far in finals. We've seen that, so Lob could be the move for him. He could come out and have an outstanding season. I don't think they gave up the pick 30 and a pick and a future second isn't too much. I don't think.
Yeah, basically 2 second-round picks for him. But answer me this, BT. So out of those 5 guys that we named just then as key forwards for the Dogs, where does Lob sit?
Second, behind Norton. I think he's above Bruce.
At the moment, with Bruce's knee, yeah.
Yes. If we're looking at the next season, purely next season, he's second. And when you look at it if they're going to be trying to push for a premiership, but purely next season, if he has it, because he had a good season at Fremantle, he did. So if Norton and Lob and Bruce obviously they all have full preseasons and everything, that is a damaging forward line right there. The problem I have is these young guys aren't going to be getting the games in, and they could win a premiership and then go down very quick.
The other problem they've got is they've lost their best and fairest winner in Josh Dunkley.
Yes.
So if they're trying to win a premiership now, the picks they got, and they got good picks, they got good compensation. A first, an early second, and a late second next year. Those picks aren't going to help them right now.
No.
So yes, they're going to help them regenerate the list and get some new talent in. But the Doggies, with the Bont, with the forwards that they've got, with the structure they've got there, they're a final. We think they're going to play finals next year. And when the Doggies make finals, they're a chance of going deep. So I just don't know how their moves this trade period have helped the Dogs next year. I think the Dogs have gotten worse from this trade period. And given where their list profile is, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, see, I don't think I agree with you on that one. I don't. Obviously, Dunkley, best fairest, but Treloar is going to move straight into that midfield. He was playing half back. He was playing half forward. He was playing wing. They didn't have a spot for him. Now Dunkley's gone. He's going straight into that guts. McRae going in there. Bont's through there. Bont doesn't need to go up forward now. Now they've got these 3 big forwards up there. I don't think it's going to change him. I think if anything, it's going to improve him.
Interesting. Interesting. If you are a Doggies fan, or if you're just a neutral fan, what do you make of the Doggies this year? You think they're going to be better or worse? Where did they finish this year? Were they 7th or 8th?
They were 7th in the end, weren't they?
Well, they were out first. They were out the first week in the final. So, question in the comments: are the Doggies going to make it to at least the second week of the finals next year? I think that's a really interesting debate.
That is, yes, because I think they have the potential to make it really deep, in my opinion. All right, that was a good one, Josh. It was a long one. I enjoyed that.
That's a long one, all right.
I haven't done a podcast in quite a while, so hopefully we'll hop on. We'll talk more footy throughout the preseason. We've still got the Premier League videos coming out. We'll try and get some FIFA out whenever we can.
What's going on, BT? You promised a FIFA stream. Yeah. What's going on, mate?
Yeah, had a bit going on lately, so hopefully. I haven't. To be honest with you, I've been a lazy fuck. So, I've done nothing.
FIFA videos are coming out. Stay tuned.
Yeah, FIFA videos, Premier League videos. We'll have some chit chat videos coming out where we talk all sports. There's always going to be footy content coming out. So, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, I think it's still like. Most of our viewers I think it's 98% or so unsubscribed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, notifications on, leave comments. If you think we're shit at what we're talking about, let us know. If you agreed, let us know.
We'd love that.
Yeah. Don't worry. Love that. We give it back to you if we disagree. So. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's good talking to you, Joshy. Catch you next time.
Thanks, BT.
Stay up.